Hey guys, welcome back to my channel called How To. So this will be our lab 3 for DMVPN Phase 2 static mapping, right? So previously we have seen how we can configure Phase 1 on static and dynamic mapping, uh, and this will be the Phase 2 for DMVPN. And let's configure the DMVPN Phase 2 statically, okay? So this I'll be using the same topology that I have been using so far, same IP parameters, right? And I am on the hub right now. Okay, so let's see if I have any old config in my this router. So IP interface brief. So okay, now config T interface tunnel 1. Let's configure the tunnel the same we did previously, and IP address would be 100.1.255.0. okay, IP address 192.168.100.1.255.255.255.0. sorry. So the IP address has been configured. IP NHRP network ID would be 10. IP NHRP tunnel mode GRE multipoint IP NHRP map 192.168.100.2 IP NHRP map 192.168.100.2. What would be the NBMA address? The NBMA address would be 120.120.120.120.120.1, right? So 100.2 would be our spoke 1 tunnel address that we will be configuring later on, and for reaching out the tunnel address, what would be our NBMA address? That is 120.120.120.1. Similarly for spoke 2, IP NHRP map 100.3 130.130.130.1, right? So since this is static mapping, so that's the reason we even in hub, right, uh, we are doing the static mapping for our spokes. That's the reason it's called DMVPN phase 2 static mapping. But yes, in DMVPN phase 1, right, so what's the difference? Okay, so the difference in the configuration, that's something I'll be letting you know. Okay, let's do the configuration part first. I think we are good here for the configuration part on over the hub. So running config for interface tunnel 1. So for running configure interface tunnel 1, this have been set. Okay, so let's jump into spokes and do our configuration part first, and we'll see the difference. Okay, so IP interface brief. We didn't have any previous configuration so far, only the IP parameters and the static routing have been set. Now config T interface tunnel 1, IP address 192.168.100.2 So this tunnel interfaces should be on same subnet, right, same network. IP, so tunnel mode AGRE multipoint, and in this DMVPN phase 2 we won't be using any tunnel destination over here. Okay, that's something we have used on tunnel DMVPN phase 1. So even in DMVPN phase 2, the difference would be we would be using tunnel mode as in GRE multipoint, and the mapping would be static as our lab states, right? So IP NHRP network ID first, IP NHRP map. For reaching out to our hub, what would be my public address or NBMA address, right? So for IP NHRP map, for reaching out to my other spoke, what would be my NBM address? That is 130 130 130.1. For reaching out 100.3, for reaching out this spoke, our NBMA address would be this one, right? So that's what we are doing. Slightly, yeah. Now since this is an DMVPN phase 2, so why DMVPN phase 2 came? Okay, in DMVPN phase 1 everything was like, whenever we want to reach to our spoke, right, from one spoke to another, the packet flow would be, everything should be routed via hub, right? So the next hop would be hub, then only then it will forward the packet to, the packet would be reaching out to spokes, other spokes, right? So to overcome this limitation in the phase 1, the DMVPN phase 2 was introduced. Okay, so in DMVPN phase 2, what we will see, and in DMVPN phase 2 we will be achieving our spoke to spoke communication, we will be achieving our spoke to spoke communication. Okay, so that's what the plan is, right? So in previously phase 1, right, every packet destined for from spoke 1 to spoke 2, right, it was passing out to hub, and then from hub to spoke and back and forth, right, from spoke to hub and then from hub to spoke. So there was a heavy right, so there was a overburden on the hub, right, and there was no point of forwarding each and every packet to hub, right, and so our data plane and control plane traffic, everything was being controlled by hub only. So to overcome this, the DMVPN phase 2 was introduced, wherein we will be achieving our spoke to spoke communication directly. So spoke 1, that's done. Now IP NHRP, here one more thing you need to know is 192.168.100.2, even for self, right, even for reaching out to me, this hub, this spoke, we need to define the IP NHRP map command, right? So IP NHRP or so DMVPN, there would be a static mapping, but state is INTF. Okay, we'll see this later on. Now let's see our configuration part. So running config for interface tunnel 1. So IP address have been configured, NHRP mapping has been done, network ID is configured, tunnel mode GRE multipoint. Okay, now can I ping my tunnel IP 192.168.100.1? Okay, am I able to reach public IP of my hub? Okay, but still I'm not able to reach out to the tunnel IP address of the hub. So what I am missing right now, network ID is done, tunnel mode GRE multipoint. Okay, IP address have been configured. What we are missing, I think I have missed something really important. Tunnel IP address has been configured, the mapping has been done. I think I got this. I think even you got this, right? What I'm missing, I think I missed a very big thing, that is interface tunnel 1. I haven't defined any tunnel source here, right, in this. I think even in hub, I'll just check it out. So let's fix this. Interface tunnel 1, what I missed was we need to define the source for the tunnel, right, over the hub section as well. I think config the interface tunnel 1, tunnel source would be gigabit 0/0. That's my WAN interface IP, right? Gig 0/0. So let's jump into spoke interface tunnel 1. Tunnel source should be gig 0/0. Exit. Okay, so as soon as I have given the tunnel source, the line protocol is up, right? So that's what we missed. Now let's jump into spoke 2 and do the same thing. Okay, enable connectivity interface tunnel 1, IP address is 255.255.0, tunnel source gig 0/0. We won't be using tunnel destination here, right? Because it's in DMVPN phase 2. So the tunnel mode would be GRE multipoint. Now we would be doing static mapping IP NHRP map. So before mapping, let's do IP NHRP network ID would be 10 and IP NHRP map 192.168.100.1. What would be the NBMA address? 110.110.1. IP NHRP map 192.168.100.2. What would be the NBMA address for reaching out to spoke 1? That is 120.120.120.1. IP NHRP map for reaching out to me. Even we need this entry statically. IP NHRP map 192.168.100.3 130.130.130.1, right? Why we are doing this is so that we would be having an static entry for spoke to spoke communication as well. Okay, so DMVPN. Now this is the output right now. Okay, we don't have any the static NHRP uptime is never, and the attributes that's have been configured is static. So yes, the configuration part have been done for DMVPN phase 2 static mapping, wherein we have statically mapped our spokes and hub respectively on each and every devices. That's how we have achieved this, right? And now if I'll ping or if I'll trace route from any spoke, we won't be seeing hub in between, right? In DMVPN phase 1, we were seeing hub as an intermediate router, right, as a next hop for reaching out to spokes. But if I'll use trace route from spoke 1 for going out to spoke 2, we would be 192.168.100.3. we won't be seeing hub in between. Okay, the next hop IP should be directly 100.3, no 100.1 in between, right? So let's verify this. If we are able to achieve this, then I think we have configured or achieved this lab purpose, right? So at least you'll get an idea how to create an DMVPN phase 2 with the help of static mapping. Okay, so in this output, right, we are not traversing, we didn't see any hub in between, right? So the next hop IP was 100.3 itself. Okay, so even on spoke 1 we did, even on spoke 2 we can trace route for reaching out to spoke 1, so we won't be seeing any hub IP in between, right? So that's the main goal of bringing out phase 2 for DMVPN, but even it have some drawbacks. Okay, we won't able to do any sort of summarization in DMVPN phase 2 over the hub, right? So that's the main so when we'll be using AGRPs, routing and so on, so the summarization was not possible in DMVPN phase 2. So that's the reason I think it's not so it all depends, right? But as for me, I think phase 2 is not, it is in place, yeah, it is being used, but moreover DMVPN phase 1 or either phase 3 would be used in production. okay, in the live environment. So this is just an idea how to create a DMVPN phase 2, right? And you can reach out to explore yourself, right? What's the difference? Go and see out knowledge articles, right? Understand depth in depth, right? Why it came, what are the drawbacks it have, and so on, so right. So that's how you'll even get lots of good concept, lots of much more informative content, right? But this lab was just to demonstrate the configuration part, and yeah, so that's all this lab is all about. So on the next video we'll be covering how we'll achieve DMVPN phase 2 using dynamic mapping. So if you have any doubts in this lab, do let me know in the comment section below, and see you until next time. I hope this video was informative for you. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.